time I'll call to order the January 16, 2025 meeting of the Clearwater City Council. If you wish to address the council tonight, please complete a comment card. Comment cards are located by the clerk, seated to the right of the dais. When called to speak, please hand your card to the clerk. This time we'll move to item 2 on the agenda, and that's our invocation. Please stand for the invocation tonight to be given by Father Bob Swick from St. Francis Assisi, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. Let us pray. Almighty God and Creator, we ask that our City Council members, dedicated servants to our beloved community, be filled with your Spirit. Enable them to serve with a special love of community that manifests itself in acts of kindness. May their continuing acts of kindness inspire our community to be more united in everyday life. And benevolent God, we pray that you make us all a channel of your peace. Where there's hatred, let us bring your love. Where there's injury, your pardon, Lord. And when there's doubt, true faith in you. And may our City Council set forth the example for all of us with their individual, daily, random acts of kindness. Amen?
Amen.
Thank you, Father Swick. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I'd like to introduce our dais tonight. To my far left is our City Clerk, Rosemary Call.
Good evening.
To her right, filling in for our, is Owen LaFave, who our city attorney is not here tonight, so Owen is filling in for him.
Good evening.
To his right is Councilmember Mike Menino.
Good evening.
To his right is Vice Mayor David Albritton.
Good evening.
To my right is Councilmember Lena Teixeira.
Good evening.
To her right is Councilmember Ryan Cotton.
Good evening.
To his right is City Manager Jennifer Poirier.
Good evening.
And to her right is Assistant City Manager Dan Slaughter. That will move to item 4.1 on the agenda. And tonight there are 3 service awards. We'll start with our 5-year employee award. This time I'd like to call forward Braxton Jones from our Parks and Recreation Department, who's celebrating his 5 years with the city of Clearwater. Braxton, here tonight? Huh? Well, we thank Braxton for his service to the city of Clearwater. That will move to the Employee of the Month for January of 2025. This time I'd like to call forward Christopher Collins from the Fire Department and ask the city manager to read a narrative on his service.
In the words of a coworker, Chris, along with his wife Jessica, have selfishly rounded up donations of goods and money to assist a recently battered and flooded area of Asheville, North Carolina, and neighboring cities of North Carolina post-Hurricane Helene. Chris rallied together some people to convoy up to North Carolina to deliver supplies and monetary donations to an area that he felt passionate about helping. The mountains are a frequently traveled destination for rest and relaxation in the fall months for a lot of our firefighters and their families, including myself. Here at Clearwater Fire Rescue, even a retirement destination and second home for some as well. Christopher and his family put forth a great effort to help the victims, and we really appreciate how he went above and beyond to help total strangers. If you know Chris at all, this is of no surprise. Chris is an overall enthusiastic and caring person down to his core. We enjoy working with Chris, and anytime we have the opportunity, it's our pleasure to write this letter to recommend him for the Employee of the Month. Congratulations, Chris, for being selected as the January 2025 Employee of the Month. Your willingness to help others in need is a true testament to your superior public service. Chris, your unselfish act of kindness is what makes you unique, and we are so thankful that you work with us. You make Clearwater thrive. Thank you.
At this time, we'll move to the bi-monthly team award for January, February 2025. And tonight, we honored the Ross Norton Shelter Team for this award. I'd like to call forward Dave Scrivener, Gerald Wade, Dan Kreider, Ethan Wingett, Ural Robinson, David Spielvogel, Hunter Walke, Frida Dixon, Thelma Cadio, Jamie Gatewood, Dora Monteraza, Antoinette Alcala, Stephen Alejandro Marr, Marty Bell, Pierre Labrie, Matt Samo, Ruth Willis, Brent Jones, Danelle Tipton, and I'm almost out of breath, Denise Pettis.
Good evening, everybody. On September 27th of 2024, it was determined that Ross Norton Rec Center would be a step-down shelter for those displaced due to Hurricane Helene. Over 100 individuals and dozens of pets made the center their new home for what was anticipated to be only a few days. Unfortunately, a second storm, Milton, changed the timeline drastically. By the time it closed on October 27th, the center housed over 250 displaced individuals and over 50 animals. The recreation staff from Ross Norton, Clearwater Beach, Rec, and Pier 60 assumed entirely new roles to keep the facility open 24/7 for 31 days. The after-school staff relocated the supplies and children to the North Greenwood facility so that the children would have a safe place to go after school. The leadership team interacted with the Red Cross, Pinellas County, and other agencies to help run the shelter and provide staff with updated schedules and work assignments. When the shelter finally closed, the cleanup began. All staff pitched in to clean the facility and get it ready to open back up to the public. There were so many city employees that went above and beyond their usual duties in the aftermath of those two storms. This group is a shining example of a team of employees working together for the good of the community, even if it meant doing assignments that weren't necessarily in their job descriptions. You all helped make Clearwater bright and beautiful. The Ross Norton Shelter Team put on a display of several of our strategic plan priorities. One example would be community well-being, where we support our communities and neighborhoods where everyone can thrive. Another priority met was that of a high-performing government and how we adopt responsive levels of service for public facilities, amenities, and identify resources to help sustain that level of service. This team exemplifies the last strategic priority, that of superior public service. The amazing top-quality personnel on this team are not only diverse but extremely talented. Thank you for going above and beyond during this difficult time. We appreciate you and how you make Clearwater thrive. Well done.
Thank you, sir. Watch your step.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Watch your step.
We appreciate it. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Good job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
At this time, we'll move to item 4.2 on the agenda, and that's North Beach update.
Evening, Mayor, Council members, Marcus Williamson, Public Works Director. With us kind of entering the low rainy season, we have pulled the temporary pumps off of the beach. We're back doing maintenance. As part of keeping those pumps out there, we have to cycle them every week. So we're out there and we have to run them, which is, we recognize that is a nuisance for the neighbors that are out there. So we'll bring them back into our yard. If we see a big storm, we'll push them back out. But that way they don't have to listen to us running those pumps once a week. So other than that, we're just continuing on with the design efforts for the projects. So stand by if there's any questions.
Any questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you.
It's time to move to item 5.1 on the agenda.
There's, Mayor, I believe there's another item on the
Oh, is
agenda,
there?
proclamation.
Oh, excuse me, yes. We don't have anyone here to accept this proclamation, but we were asked to do, I was asked to do a proclamation on Human Trafficking Month. So this time, I'd like to read this proclamation into the record. Whereas human trafficking is a public health issue and crime that exploits the most vulnerable among us and weakens the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities across generations. And whereas more than 20 years since the passing of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, human trafficking still exists, including the forced or fraudulent recruitment, harboring, or transportation of people for labor or commercial prostitution. And whereas an estimated 27 million people are subjected to human trafficking globally, including cases of human trafficking reported in every U.S. state and territory. And whereas the city renews its commitment to eradicating human trafficking, raising public awareness, supporting effective victim services, and prosecute criminals that prey on victims to enslave and exploit them for profit. Now therefore, I, Bruce Rector, Mayor of the City of Clearwater, Florida, on behalf of the Clearwater City Council, do hereby proclaim January 2025 to be Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Clearwater. And I urge all residents, agencies, and advocates to support efforts to end human trafficking. I know Councilman Teixeira has been involved in many, in several organizations here in the Tampa Bay area that are addressing this important and serious problem we have, and appreciate her efforts and the other council members that have been involved in this serious issue. And we certainly wanted to recognize this month and reaffirm Clearwater's commitment to ending human trafficking in Florida and in the United States.
Thank you.
That will move to item 5.1 on the agenda.
Make a
Approval of
motion.
minutes of the December 19, 2024 City Council meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. This time we'll move to item 6 on the agenda, and that's our consent agenda. Are there any items that we need to pull from the agenda?
Yes, I received a request to remove items 6.1, 6.6, and 6.8.
Okay.
Are there any other items to be pulled from the agenda? Hearing that, none, is there a motion to approve those items that have not been pulled?
Motion to approve all items for the exception of 6.1, 6.6, and 6.8.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, we'll move to item 6.1 on the agenda.
Approve a four-year funding agreement in the amount not to exceed $130,625.22 between the Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority and the City of Clearwater for expanded ferry services, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Dan Slaughter, Assistant City Manager. This item is a agreement with PSTA to provide ferry service on Thursday as part of a grant that the council committed to or indicated they wanted to be involved with several years back. It's now come to fruition. The details we went over on Monday. We're more than happy to answer any questions.
Anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 6.1?
I'm Mr. Haluba. I don't see the merit in this whatsoever. We have a ferry service that's only running, Friday through Sunday. From what I've been able to ascertain, very few people use this ferry. It's not earning enough money to, be financially viable, which is why there's the subsidies. There's no cash accepted, which I guess is a latent reaction to how, cash disappeared previously with Parks and Rec, that I think Mr. Slaughter was involved with. certainly was involved with bringing Mr. Dunbar back after being dismissed for mishandling cash. But there are a lot of postings on the internet regarding the ferry service, and I read nearly all of them. The positive ones are all very similar in nature, as if the same person wrote them. These are not. Clearwater Ferry, absolutely horrible. We had a concert at the Sound, paid for a round-trip ride from Dunedin. They said they would not leave us, and no matter how long the concert lasted, they would be there to get us back to Dunedin. Concert ended, no boat. Cost us $60 to take an Uber. Never use this ferry. They are liars and bullshit artists. Killed our night and many other folks. That's one. Another person that posted said that the Clearwater Ferry has no regard for other boaters, moored vessels, idle zones, or no-wake areas. It's a pathetic excuse for operating a commercial vessel through tight waterways. Another one says, good luck finding the ferry. We parked in the Clearwater downtown lot. Their website recommended. From there, it was a long walk to the ferry with very little signage to direct you. And I have more.
Anyone else here from the public?
Hi, friends. How are y'all doing? I missed you. Missed each and every one of you. I have a big problem with this ferry as well. I did a records request, and when we get to 6.8 on this agenda, I hope that we can use the nice Jumbotron here so that I can put up the numbers, because I want to put up the numbers. You know, because we talk about, numerous times I watch these videos, and it's a business meeting. It's a business meeting. I used to run a business too, and, you know, for this Clearwater Ferry, just to shell out money, just free money. But where does it all come from? You know, whether it comes from FDOT, whether it comes from here in the city of Clearwater from the tax money, where does it really come from? It comes from us, you know, and then we're just handing it off to Kohler. Is that how you pronounce it, Kohler? Come on, man. I'm just trying to make sure I don't say your name wrong, man. Okay, whatever. That's not a big deal.
You know the routine.
Kohler. Okay. Mr. Margolis is not here. You know, and that's unfortunate because I had some things to say to him today, but I'm not going to direct it towards you. But anyway, Margolis said, I don't really agree with these third-party whatever they are. But here we are giving two $500,000 boats to a third party. And then, Slaughter says, we're leasing them. Why would you lease, like, I go buy a Lamborghini and I'm going to lease it, but my credit score is complete garbage and crap. Why would you lease a Lamborghini to somebody that doesn't make money? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Or at least that doesn't for me. You know, running restaurants my whole life up until, yes, I'm a YouTuber. It's my job.
This is what I do. I don't just make fun of Clearwater, I make fun of anybody that violates our constitutional rights. But, you know, because FDOT's involved in this, the tax money that I put into this, that I put in, is coming from me for these boats that don't make any friggin' money. But I'll see you on 6.8.
Anyone else here from the public desire to speak to this agenda item? Hearing none, then we'll go to council discussion. So, I just want to say, so it's a little bit more complicated than what was just presented. Essentially here, we're really only allocating money for a Thursday service at a cost of about $7,000 additional. The decision to make these grants to our ferry service here, we didn't make the decision at the state level to grant anybody any money. We accepted the grants, and the boats were forced to be given to us instead of her, even though the Clearwater Ferry made the grant application. It was just a procedural thing. So this is it's a complicated thing. A prior council has voted on most of this. All we have tonight is adding the Thursday service component to it to comply with a grant that we applied for in the city of Dunedin and PSTA to get additional monies for the benefit of Clearwater. So this is not it's a little bit more complicated. A little bit the issues for us tonight is a little bit more narrow than what was presented. So with that, is there any discussion? Is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 6.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Move to agenda item 6.6.
Authorize the final rental and settlement payments to the United States North America, Inc. in the not-to-exceed amount of $254,188.40 for the rental and loss of 8 diesel-powered portable pump utilized by the City of Clearwater from June 1, 2024 through November 30, 2024 pursuant to Clearwater Code of Ordinances, Section 2.563, Paren 1, Paren C, piggyback, declare the 8 flood-damaged motors and pumps as surplus to Section 2.623, Paren 8, and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Evening, Mayor, council members, Marcus Williamson, Public Works Director. This item was to pay for the pumps that were damaged out during Hurricane Helene. We did go through a series of checking pricing with a third party to verify, and we will look to maximize salvage value out of them. But again, it was storm damage to pumps that were out there, so standing by for any questions.
Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 6.6?
I'm Mr. Haluba, and I actually like Mr. Williamson. However, I don't understand that we're leasing these items and yet we have to pay for them when they get damaged. It just seems like, again, that this body just hands money out, even in relatively small amounts, at the drop of a hat, and in this case, in my opinion, when it's not necessary. If we're leasing the pumps and they got damaged, then the city should have called up whoever this is and said, your pumps are damaged, your pumps aren't working, they got damaged, we need some more. It doesn't make any sense. So I still don't know, and, you know, I'm sure Mr. Williamson will answer my question at some point. If we're leasing them, there's certain procedures to deal with damaged equipment that you're leasing, much like an automobile. If you rent or lease a car, there's insurance on it. You know, I have personally had a rent-a-car stolen from me while I was out and about. I called them up, I said, hey, your car's gone, bring me another one. And they did, and I never heard another word about it. So I don't know why that doesn't work for diesel pumps, you know? But again, if there's 8 flood damage, you know, pumps and motors, you know, and they're gonna declare them surplus so we can sell them, is what that means in my world. But if we were leasing them, we didn't own them. So something weird's going on. Again, City of Clearwater. Very, very strange happenings.
Anyone else here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 6.6? Okay. Seeing none, any council discussion? Before I take a motion, on equipment rental, it's extremely common. In my private work, deal with hundreds of these throughout the years. It's always on the renter of the equipment, always bears the risk of loss. You can choose to get insurance for it, and sometimes bigger organizations such as municipalities choose to be self-insured in these kind of situations. But the risk of loss for equipment rental is always on the entity or person who is renting the equipment. Across the board, it's contractual, it's in all their standard equipment contracts, and that was the case here. So with that, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 6.6.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. Agenda item 6.8.
Approve a lease agreement between Clearwater Ferry and the city for ferry vessels purchased under FDOT GPA agreement G2S84 and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Mike McDonald, Marine and Aviation Director. This is for council to approve an item to lease the ferry vessels to Clearwater Ferry in accordance with Florida Department of Transportation grant. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 6.8?
I'm Mr. Haluba, so I guess we're gonna lease these boats, and if they get damaged or sink, it'll be the city paying for them, which is wrong. Because there was a grant to purchase these boats in the first place. A grant that, in my opinion, should have never been allowed. Somebody should have figured out that these boats, these ferries, are not going to be economically viable, which is probably why there was a grant. But this is business that the city of Clearwater has no business being in. It's just wrongful, but I guess if they sink, you know, like the diesel pumps, that'll be on the city of Clearwater also. But more postings. Myself, 11-year-old niece and sister in a wheelchair had prepaid a 6:45 return trip back to our parked car. When we arrived at the loading zone, we were turned away and told that the ferry was broken down. When asked what we were supposed to do, we were told, "You're on your own." Great, that's wonderful, isn't it? And the tagline is terrible experience. Another one. I have been a fan of the ferry since it was open, but lately my feelings have changed. Over the last 2 months, using the ferry has been more of a struggle than it's worth. It seems like their new employees have no idea what is going on or how to communicate with people who are willing to use their service. It's another great idea in theory, which I don't believe it is, yet their execution could improve. Another one, worst customer service ever. It was hot outside, and we just didn't need the rudeness of the employees back and forth. Not a very good experience, unfortunately. We booked tickets for this past Sunday, whenever that was. Dropped my 83-year-old father off, and the boat left without us.
Anyone else here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 6.8?
Is Dan Alish? Raise your hand. Okay. Ben Lamson, John Westerlin, and Jonas. Thank you. So that's 7 minutes.
Okay, very good.
Hi, friends. I'm back. I love you guys. All right. All right. As you can see, they said something about $800,000 for boats, but you can see right down here at the very bottom, $949,743 for 2 boats. Hold on. Give me a. Don't look at me like that. There's no point.
It's amazing how, I'm gonna give you extra time.
I got 7 minutes to talk.
You and I talk fine when you're
I
not
know
in
we
front
had
of
to
camera.
talk. I'm gonna get to that at the city attorney's report.
Okay.
So just quiet. Quiet. Citizens of Clearwater. $950,000. All right, here we go. We got profit and loss here. Salary and wages, $193,000 were paid, but they lost $41,000. Here we go again. We've got salary and wages, $130,521, lost $121,000. Citizens of Clearwater, listen to this. Here we go. Salary and wages, $108,000, $474. Profit loss, $58,000 plus. Oh, this one right here. This is my favorite one. This is the one. This one right here is my favorite one. If I ever went to a manager's meeting and this was what was put up, I would have been fired on the spot. Fired. But let's go through it. Oh, look at that. Salary and wages. Oh, they only paid people $37,000, but $151,000 lost? This is a business meeting, right? You all keep claiming this is some kind of business meeting. Come on, any one of you can chime up and say, I'm looking you eye to eye because you know if anybody in your friggin' department, in your lawyer setting, ever lost $151,000. And I'm gonna get you to the real numbers of what they were paid and what was actually lost, but we'll get there. Oh, look at this great one. This is probably the best one that I've seen, and this is a 5-year. This is from 2019 to 2023. salary and wages, we'll say 66,000, just to say for whatever. But look at that. They actually profited. Wow. In 5 years, they profited $8,000. And then you're right here today, and actually it's going back months ago, probably before you guys, you signed off on 2, not 1, but 2 $500,000 boats that have lost $365,000 in 5 years. I don't know what kind of business meeting we're running here, but if I was the CEO and I was looking at these numbers, every one of you can turn me back on. You can put me back so that the public can see me actually having a problem with this. This is not okay.
They turned it on because you had the screen.
I got it. I'm just asking so that the public can see it. Because this is a live stream that the people need to understand the frustration that I have. When I said something about these boats, I'm like, you could have went and bought a 20-seater boat for less than friggin' $40,000, and then you're willing to give Trish and Dennis Rodriguez that loses $151,000 to two $500,000 boats, and on top of it, you're giving them $500,000 worth of subsidies for the next 5 years. I'm a great editor. Somebody got on a live stream and says, hey, maybe we need to give them, some hobbies. Give them some hobbies and let them paint storm drains, Mr. Menino. Because that's what you said at a live stream. Yeah, I got a hobby. You know what my hobby is? Is exposing tyranny. Like, this is tyranny. $365,000 of taxpayer money to somebody that doesn't know how to run a business? And I said it before. They have 2 LLCs. There's Clearwater Ferry, and then there's Tropic Boat Tours. You know what I'm thinking? And I might be wrong. You might be able to prove me wrong. But what I'm thinking is, one boat's going over to Clearwater Ferry, and they're gonna turn the one that has the liquor license that drives everybody up and down the friggin' coast, that has a liquor license. That's what I think is gonna happen. Hi. Well, it's crazy that I had to drive 4 hours just to come talk about, like, I shouldn't be the one doing this. The citizens should be doing this, because this is garbage. If you want to talk about business meeting, turn it into a business meeting.
First, is anybody else here for public who wants to speak? Okay. Well, on this agenda item? Okay, then we'll have council discussion. And Mr. Taylor, you've called me twice, both the times. This is all, it's amazing to me how different your demeanor is. You're in front of the camera. When you and I talk on the phone, we have had great conversations. We have just talked. I looked for your number today. I was going to call you. I couldn't find it. But I would have loved to talk to you for today to answer some of the questions that you just raised here at the podium. You can call me anytime. You have twice. We've had great conversations. And you continue to be open to do that. I would have saved you 4 hours to come over and explain some things tonight. So
To be honest,
it's
you're
a
just
lot
gonna be voting unanimous
it's a lot
anyway,
it's
so
a
it
lot
doesn't
more
matter.
it's a lot more complicated than was just been. We've already moved past that. We had a chance
Well,
to
you
talk.
haven't voted on it, right?
What's
And
that?
You haven't voted on it yet, and so I can
That's fine, I'll give you.
I wasn't going to until you decided to chime in on that.
State your name,
My
please.
name is Christine Scott, and there are problems with contracts here and with where money's going. For example, with Baycare Sound, the contract that says that they can keep 75% of the profits. Nonprofits don't have profits, and so if there are profits, why are you handing them out when you have businesses that are underwater by $150,000? It doesn't make sense at all. Why is this money not being recouped and brought back into the city? These are actually huge issues. You work for the people, and so if you're just handing out the money, $84 million to make Coachman Park, okay, you've got a really profitable venue there. And that money should be coming back to the people who paid the $84 million for it. Okay, instead, you're acknowledging that a nonprofit is taking profit, totally illegal. It voids their contract. They have no right to do it, okay? That money should be going back into the city things. Quite honestly, I think that having a ferry, and even if it's free, to bring people back and forth so that they can go into the commerce in the city and downtown and make it vibrant, I think that's a great idea. Where are you getting the money from? How is it beneficial? Okay, why are you not taking the funds from the amphitheater and using that to productively better the downtown, and instead saying, yeah, go ahead and keep it, to people who aren't running it very well anyway, and who are quite honestly trying to encroach on that property and are calling it private property, which it is most certainly not. $84 million of public money doesn't make private property. So there are things that you might want to reconsider with this. And because of what you said, Mayor, I thought I would share my 2 cents on that. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else here from the public desire to speak on agenda item 612? If no one else, we'll have council discussion. And before we start, I just want to explain that we have an organization called PSTA in this county, and they provide public transportation for the entire county. Mainly bus service, but they do some other things, and they're a partner on this project. PSTA provides public transportation for many of our hospitality industry workers, housekeepers, folks who are struggling to pay their bills. They're hardworking people, but they can't afford to drive. Many of them can't afford to own a car, and they rely on public transportation to get to and from work on a very crowded, congested beach. And PSTA provides a great service to our county and its citizens by giving those folks a mode of transportation to get out to work. This Clearwater Ferry is a partner with PSTA on this. And so that's a broader picture than what might be painted by what you can see on this agenda, but it's a lot more complicated again than what has just been explained. So with that, do we have any other Councilmember Cotton?
Yeah, I will say that I brought up a few questions that I was concerned with on Monday's meeting. I'm not going to go back over all of that, but I will say that the Clearwater Ferry representative that was here did bring up ridership is what is obviously going to keep this business going. These are valid concerns that have been brought to us, and I agree with them. However, Mr. Kohler, please correct me if I'm wrong. Their new contract is that the city dealt with expires in September of 2028. Ending all subsidies. So if she's not able to be solvent and show a profit, and Clearwater Ferry can't continue, Mr. Slaughter, maybe you can speak to it as well, then we'll just reevaluate then.
So the subsidies end in 2028, but the agreement goes to 2033. There is no subsidies in the 5 years, last 5 years of the agreement. The subsidies in the first 5 years actually start to decline. And the theory is you're growing ridership, and therefore eventually it becomes self-sustainable in the last 5 years. Is at least paying for itself without government support.
Correct. Okay, very good. So just to make sure that everybody understands that as well.
Any other council discussion? Vice Mayor?
So I'm on the board of PSTA, and I can tell you a fare box rate doesn't pay for bus service. If if it wasn't for the grants from the federal government, nobody would have public transportation because it doesn't pay for itself. So that's what we do, is try to get these different modes of transportation that'll benefit people that can't afford cars and need to get to work. The ferry is going to be a perfect example of that. We have 12,000 service workers on the beach. They can't even afford to park their car on the beach because of the rates. And a lot of them need to have a free parking lot on the mainland and have a ride to the beach, and that's what the ferry is going to do. So it's a good thing overall. And hopefully Trish can pull it off and make something of it in the next 2 or 3 years. That's it.
Okay, any further council discussion? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item 6.8.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 7.1 is continued, so agenda item 7.2.
Authorize a guaranteed maximum price proposal from Creative Contractors, Inc. of Clearwater, Florida for the Long Center renovation project in the amount of $14,504,354, increasing the purchase order total to $14,590,729. Authorize an increase in Wanamaker Jensen Architects of St. Petersburg, Florida, for supplemental work order 2 in the amount of $298,380, increasing the purchase order to $1,117,296 pursuant to RFQ 08-23 and authorize the appropriate officials to execute same.
Evening, Mayor, council members, Marcus Williamson, Public Works Director. I know we went through a lot of information on Monday, so don't want to rehash a lot of those items. But happy to if there's any additional questions. We did send some supplemental information in. I know Art Cater is also here to talk some of the operational, but standing by if there's questions on the design construction side of things.
Okay. All right, is there anyone here from the public desiring to speak to agenda item 7.2? Hearing, seeing none, council discussion. I guess I'm the one who had the most questions about it, so I'll start. So my concern was that we had chosen to build an indoor pool instead of an outdoor pool. There's some questions about whether or not even the swimming community thought that that was a good decision. I was curious about the cost difference. I don't know if we ever ascertained that, but back when they approved it, what the cost difference was between an outdoor and an indoor pool.
As I shared with you, the Long Center, we do not have that cost. The Long Center budget that we have right now, the information that I shared with you, we've combined those budgets between what we have in the Long Center, the gymnasiums, the Aging Well Center, the Aquatic Center, and all is in one lump sum budget. It is too difficult, and it's not there. For example, the restrooms are connected with the pool. They're used by the gymnasium. As far as a budget, it was too difficult for us to break that out. A good example is when the Long Center was given to us, again, it was not built by the city. We've been given this, we got it, and now we have to maintain it. The electrical meter that's there, there's 1 meter, service the entire building. ARC is on that meter as well.
But before I get to that, though, on the construction cost of renovating, converting to an outdoor pool or leaving it in the pool, was there a significant cost difference between the two? Or was
I'm sorry.
Yep. So I was just going to say, we did not run down the full, because when the decision was made, so we tried to do some preliminary. The issue is, because of how it's currently constructed, you have to go back in and rework some of the interior walls. We just didn't have time between Monday and now, because it would take a bunch of field investigation to go out and find out exactly what it is. So we threw out some rough orders of magnitude. We're thinking by the time we go in and we would have to demo, there would have to be some pool rework. There'd have to be some removal of trees and stuff that are in the area, and there'd have to be some envelope changes to the building. We were just rough order of magnitude. We were figuring in the $8 to $10 million range to get in and do a bunch of that work.
Okay. And, you know, I question, because of my own professional experience, just we just don't see in our sports facility work a lot of communities choosing to build indoor pools unless they're in cold weather climates, unless they've got community involvement. And here, I guess there was originally, when we built the Long Center, there was private donations that went to cover the cost.
Foundation.
But for this renovation, we don't have any contribution from the community or the swimming community or anybody with a philanthropic.
We do continue to get $200,000 a year from the Long Center Foundation, is what they give to the city every year, $200,000. That is the only additional funding that we get at this point in time.
And when I looked, you mentioned Ocala had built one.
Yes.
But the one that I researched showed that that was entirely done by, it looked like a wealthy horse farm family had started a foundation, and that was built completely with private money.
It is. It's a foundation
And
as
it's
well.
operated with private money.
It is brand new. It's a foundation as well. We did try to get some research to find out if there were any other currently indoor pools that were operated publicly, and we cannot find one in the state of Florida. The Long Center is unique in that. That is the only one that we found. I'm sure there perhaps are some more in other states or some other places, and, you know, somebody can correct me. We've looked high and low. The YMCA had one in Orlando, however, they have turned that over to a hotelier that's there that apparently has purchased it, so it's no longer, and basically the Y would not even be publicly funded either as a YMCA. So the best I know, that we are the only one that has that. I think also, in the reports we shared with you, the numerous amount of use that we have at this center. It is enormous. People enjoy coming. Some of the meets actually that we have had in the past here are going to the newer facility fast because they have more parking, they're larger, those types of things. So yes, all we have supporting us right now is the $200,000. If you were going to build a brand-new Olympic-sized pool, which many cities do and have throughout this state, that's what the majority of them have. City of St. Petersburg has Olympic-sized pool. The city of Largo has Olympic-sized pools. We've tried to get some of their information from them as far as operational information. And in comparison's sake, the problem we have is that we inherited as a city the Long Center as it is. Therefore, the biggest cost we have is in first building the pool or building a pool indoors and then maintaining what you have. It's certainly easier to maintain an outdoor pool in the long run than an indoor pool. And unfortunately, we're at that point with this pool that it's an indoor pool. And it's lived to where we have to do something one way or the other. Even if we have to patch up some of the metal structures, those types of things, or go in a different direction. We can leave the pools, they're already built, but as already been shared, we try to get some costs to see what it would do to take down the roof and to be able to take the structure out and make it an outdoor pool. We would need to add some additional things there that we did not include in this indoor thing, like the pool deck and some other things that would have to be done to make it an outdoor pool. The results would probably be we would lose a lot of participation. Certainly the therapy pool would not be able to be used as much. We believe that it would impact the use of it simply because, again, it's outdoors and you don't get as much use during, especially the winter time, the springtime, and those areas. The cost to heat the pool will be a tremendous amount. The difference is of course, when you have an indoor, you have to air condition it, so that's a higher cost. But then if you, in the wintertime, it's higher when you have to. The biggest cost is where we are right now today, that you're having to face the decision. That is true.
Well, you know, and I said this Monday, but I don't want anybody on our staff or anybody who was on the council, the prior council who voted, to be defensive at all or think that you all did anything wrong. You didn't. But I have an awareness of what's going on around the country in this area. And as I brought to your attention, most communities nowadays consider this an indoor aquatics facility to be a luxury recreation item. That some do it, but when they do it, like they did in Ocala, there's private money that comes in to do the construction. It's, the swimming community gets it. This is a unique opportunity, and they don't expect the taxpayers to pay for all that. So we do have a unique situation with where we've inherited an indoor pool, and now the question is, would it even save us that much money to convert it to an outdoor pool? And we'd have to do more studies, and we've already done enough to kind of do that. So, I'm going to support this additional money to do the indoor. But I would like to see us, because so far, I don't think there's any private contribution to this at all. I would like to see us ask our community, particularly the swimming community, to help us with some of these construction costs, and to look at, the sun deck is great, but if that saves our taxpayers $1 million, we got a lot of departments now we've asked them to do some soul searching on cost savings, because we don't know what our budget revenues are going to be over the next year or two after 2 hurricanes. If we can make some adjustments like eliminating that, I'd like to see that. And if we can commit to looking at those 2 things. And then the third thing is, I appreciate the statistics that your team shared with me on operational cost. And I'd like to learn more about that. Maybe there's no more revenue we can generate off the swim meets and tournaments that come in and activities that go there. But maybe there is, and just see if there's some additional ways we can generate some revenue from the users, the swimming community, who are taking advantage of our community's generous gift to them of an indoor swimming facility, to see if there's more revenue we can help to recover the cost. Again, making sure that, we're being fair to the taxpayers here in what we're choosing to do.
Well, in this
So-
budget time, we are looking
Yeah.
at all the fee structures that we have in Parks and Recreation, and that certainly is a possibility of raising fees or relooking at the fees, generating more revenue that way.
But somebody at Citizen told me today, she said, Mayor, after Monday's meeting, they're saying the mayor wants to close the Long Center, out of what I was saying. So for the public, I don't want to close the Long Center. As I said Monday, I want kids to swim over there. We've got Architect that does fantastic work, uses that therapy pool. I don't want to eliminate any of the activities over there. I just want to make good cost, wise, efficient decisions for our taxpayers. And I think we've got some opportunity here to do some things to take a little bit of the load off of them. So, let's move on. Vice Mayor, or you?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Vice
Yeah,
Mayor?
so you always wonder who watches these meetings. And after Monday's work session, I got a bunch of emails from my swimming people, professional swimmers that actually watched the meeting and said, we think that if you get the AC system fixed, that the sun deck doesn't need to be built, because that'll take care of the problem inside. Remember when I said it was real uncomfortable sitting up in the top? They think that'll take care of that and it'll be more enjoyable, so we could save that $900,000 and put it off maybe to another day, but that's how we could cut that back, and it would still seem to be accepted by the swimming community. So just wanted to bring that up.
Councilmember Menino? Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to say a couple things. I agree with some of the things you're saying, and I think it's important that as a city, we look at our capital delivery model at times. I don't think it always is in the best interest to be a cookie cutter strategy. And he brings up a good point in moving forward, not necessarily with this project, but when we can find public-private partnerships, I think it's important to find those, to build those relationships, and help alleviate some of that tax burden on the community. With this Long Center, I think it's important to pay respect to the history of it. And Fred Fisher and the Fisher family back in 1974 had a vision and a dream. It took 16 years of raising over $6 million and then gifted this beautiful gem to the citizens of Clearwater and to the city. I think to truly understand the magic of what it brings to our community, you would have to spend some time there. I've spent a lot of time there, from babies learning how to dip their feet in the water to geriatric in the pool who are disabled and everything in between. So I greatly respect the history of it, how we got it, where it came from. But with respect to what the mayor says, I do think internally we should make sure that we're analyzing that capital delivery model, and where we can cut and share costs. I think it's important moving forward. But for a lot of the citizens that I did hear from, the Long Center is not going anywhere. So ease that fear. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Cotton?
Yeah, more so just comments for us. I completely agree with the sentiments that you shared there, Mr. Mayor, and would support that as well in eliminating the sun deck, especially going forward and trying to, in the future, I think you all are very much aware of what we're kind of trying to put forward and trying to find either grants or some type of offset, right, so that we can try and alleviate the burden from our citizens. So just wanted to let you know, because we can only talk city business when we're all together, that I definitely support those initiatives.
Councilmember Teixeira?
Yeah, so I got deja vu to when the first time this came before me, the passion that was expressed regarding this very special community center, and one of the reasons why it is truly unique is all the therapeutic uses it's using for the differently challenged populations. However, I agree with the sentiment here, meaning, let's evaluate each project and see if we can scale down when it's appropriate, review the fee schedule, maybe widening the gap between residents and non-residents, between professional use and big groups versus small. But we never discussed closing the Long Center. That was not discussed. But it was sort of like a reminder of what was expressed to me those years ago when we were discussing the Long Center, and the passion is there, and this is truly a special place. So we need to proceed with respect, and I agree. We need to always look at every project on its own merit and see if there's always changes for improvements. But I just want to make sure for everyone out there, we are not getting rid of the Long Center. Okay.
Council, just to seek clarification, is there consensus that you want staff to look at eliminating the sun deck, seeking private funds to assist the project, and look at user fees in the future?
I believe so.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
I believe so, yeah. And then, anybody else got anything else that they want to share? Yeah. Just overall, we're getting ready to have a budget discussion here soon, so, I don't want team at Parks and Recreation to feel like I'm, coming at them extra hard. But we're asking all departments across the city to really take a hard look, because we need to begin making more and more decisions to not put us in a spot where we're asking the voter or the citizens for a millage increase 3 or 4 years from now. And so hopefully we won't have to do that this year or next year, but if we can't find money here and there and start finding some savings or more revenue from user fees appropriately charged or donations from the community to help support some of these amenities, then we're all, staff and the council, is going to be in an uncomfortable position of having to consider that at some point. So again, this isn't anything directed at your department. I love your department and enjoy coming to all those events that they host and the work that they do. But it's just beginning, and I think we're going to get into this in our next strategy session of the budget. Just taking a hard look citywide at every project, every department.
We certainly understand that. Obviously, we're quality of life. Most of everything we do is subsidized by the city government, the citizens, to be quite honest with you. It's very difficult for us to be in profit mode. We certainly try as best we can, and where we have those profit areas like the pier. Pier 60, unfortunately, it's closed down now. We got to get it up and running because that's a moneymaker. Things like McMullen Tennis Complex, we have goals every year to try to make more revenue and to do that. So in the golf courses that the city had, we found that the city didn't run them as well. They run them in the red, so therefore, those are all, as you know, privatized now. And we do receive funds from those that operate it, with the exception of Chi-Chi. So I certainly hear what you're saying, and certainly we will do everything we can to bring back, certainly a balanced budget. I know that the city manager has challenged all of us, and to an exercise. We should all be doing that at all times, knowing our departments and our divisions, where we can save money and where we can bring that to you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, with that, is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 7.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agenda item 7.4.
7.3.
Three, yeah.
Amend Clearwater Code of Ordinances, Section 2.413 and 2.418 to change the disability process for members of the pension plan and pass ordinance 9813-25 on first reading.
So council, the employee's pension plan governs the retirement benefit for city employee, which includes the ability for members to obtain a disability retirement benefit. Currently, the Pension Advisory Committee determines whether or not somebody's entitled to a retirement benefit. In 2024, the city and all labor unions agreed to change the disability process for members. Under the new process, the city manager may either enter into a stipulated approval for a disability benefit or schedule a hearing. If the city manager enters into a stipulated approval, there's going to be an agenda item that will go before the pension trustees for approval. If the city manager opts for a hearing, the hearing will be conducted by a state of Florida administrative law judge. So the matter will no longer be heard or decided by the Pension Advisory Committee. At the hearing, the applicant and the city are going to have the opportunity to be represented by counsel, call witnesses, and present evidence. The administrative law judge will review the application, the information, and issue a recommended order. That recommended order is going to go to the trustees, and then the trustees will either adopt, reject, or modify the recommended order. And this ordinance incorporates the changes made during collective bargaining into the pension code. And with that, I have any questions?
Anyone from the public here tonight desire to speak to agenda item 7.3? Hearing seeing none, is there any council discussion?
So ordinance number 9813-25, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 5, Vision 3, Employees Pension Plan, amending Section 2.413, Plan Administration, amending Section 2.418, Disability Benefits, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for severability, providing for the repealer, and providing for an effective date.
Mr. Kohler? Is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 7.3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay. We'll now move to agenda item 7.4.
Adopt resolutions 25-02 and 25-03 relating to council rules.
So this item involves two separate resolutions, Resolution 2502 and Resolution 2503. The resolutions update and clarify the council decorum rules, and there's been previous discussions on Monday as well as many other council meetings. So I'm open to questions if you have any.
Okay. Is anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 7.4?
I'm sorry, I thought when I watched the work session, I thought the attorney's report was what I handed to you. Is there any way that I can relinquish 2 minutes of my time to Mr. Haluba? From the two people on there?
So two individuals would have to, so how about this? Mr. Haluba will have to turn in a card, a blue card.
Okay.
And then, so we will give Dan Alish, Ben Lamson, Corinne Smith, and I'm afraid I can't read the next one, with a G. Okay, all right. So you have 7.
Thank you very much. Hi again. Does anybody want to say hi to my grandfather? Like My grandfather was a Marine. Fought for this country. Fought for the rights for everybody in this room. Fought for all the rights for everybody up on this dais. Every one of you, Slaughter, Poirier, I don't think you swore anything. Cotton, Texera, Rector, Albritton, Menino, you have an obligation, Mr. Kohler. Ms. Call, I don't think you swore an oath. But I think there is an obligation for every one of us, whether we like the words that come out of our mouths or not. We have the right. There's hundreds of thousands of people that have died for this country, walking on Normandy. My great-grandfather died fighting a war. And the reason I'm here is because my whole family, I unfortunately didn't get into the Marines. I wanted to be a sniper. I wanted to fight for my country. Unfortunately, I had knee problems, bronchitis, all these other waivers, and if anybody knows that's been in trying to get into it, understands that the Marines, they're like, yes, you're probably capable, but guess what? Unfortunately, and that was the unfortunate part. But my oath doesn't die just because I couldn't get in. That's why I'm here. That's why I cover stuff throughout YouTube. It's not just here. Mr. Rector, Mr. Cotton, we've spoken, right? What was the one thing that you didn't mention at the work session? It has like a branch and it has little berries on it. I offered an olive branch, and I keep offering this olive branch to each and every one of you. Everybody's all like, we don't want Mr. Taylor here. I'm going to do it right now, right here. My olive branch. I want a 3-2 vote so that this does not pass, so that the citizens, not me, I will walk away from here and my wife will love me even more for not driving 4 hours and spending the money I spent. Here's the olive branch, again, on live stream. If you don't want to take it, that's on you. Because just because you're going to change the venue, if that's what you're going to do, you make it seem like this camera and all these other cameras and all these other people that care about the First Amendment or our constitutional rights are not going to show up to this meeting. This has been an ongoing thing for over a year. I was the one, all this started from when your officers detained me and put me in the back of their friggin' cop car for 45 minutes and ruined my day of fishing. And the funny thing is there's a Constitution right above his head. The Constitution. It's like right there. And you're like, oh, Florida State we don't have to give you public comment. You make it seem like that we're not going to come here and speak on agenda items. I'll come here and speak about the boats all day. I will speak about anything I feel like just to get under the thin skin of Clearwater. And yes, I said it. I get under the thin skin of Clearwater. Just like Mr. Haluba said it to Brian Unks, all you have to do is just give the public what they want. Put it back the way it was when Hibbert was. I've been to meetings. You were at a meeting. Remember when where's Gandy? I wish he was here because he was the one that put his hands on me. You were there that day, Slaughter. But nobody was just, and on top of it, I was under an investigation. A 1-year investigation at a council meeting because I irritate you guys. And guess what? I paid $165 for body cams, that's gonna come from Stiff and the other 8 officers that were in here. And I'm gonna get the whatever documents that come from that, just to what? You guys are all worried about my YouTube channel. That's all you guys are all worried about. If you're so worried about my YouTube channel and the things that I say, just give the people back the way it was. Give them their 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and the majority of these people would walk away. 90% of these people would be in and out right after you do your proclamations and all your other whatever, your pledge proclamations or presentations, whatever, and then you go into your friggin', here's your public comment, 3 minutes. That's the way it was for decades. But only until some YouTuber from 4 hours away started coming into these meetings did this whole fiasco with decorum rules, let's do this, let's do this. I mean, you literally said my name on the live stream. Like, you make it seem like if I was to take from bunker, or not bunker, but angst until today, and I was to file a lawsuit, because trust me, it's coming. Trust me. I just keep letting you dig yourself you have a shovel and you're digging yourself a hole, and you're not going to get out of it. You did this to yourselves. And guess who's going to suffer? The people.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Does anybody want to friggin' thank you to my grandfather?
I have one of those, my father, my grandfathers too. Appreciate your father's service. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Anyone else here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 7.4?
Mr. Haluba, you still want those 2 additional minutes?
Perhaps, if I can. Yes, somebody will give me
So
a minute or
Nick-
two.
Nick Lagana, okay, and then I think it's Gary Shields? Yeah. Okay, so you have 5 minutes.
All right, I'm Mr. Haluba, and I'm going to speak a little bit about the First Amendment. Now, there is something associated with the First Amendment that's called the Brandenburg test. This is a test that government can use that may, and I stress the word may, prohibit free speech which is directed to incite or produce imminent lawless action. The second part of that is the speech must be likely to incite such action. Nothing that I have heard anybody say up here, including Mr. Taylor, including Mr. Felix, or anyone else, in any way satisfies the Brandenburg test for free speech denial. Now, slander is not a free speech right, but stating an opinion is. An opinion is not slander. So it is my opinion that, Jennifer Clay, you're the dumbass.
Facts.
Thanks for calling me that.
Facts.
Mr. Luba.
The First Amendment to the Constitution has many provisions, free speech being one of the most important ones. Citizens have the right to petition the government for redress of any grievances they might have. Of course, redress is the remedy to set right an undesirable or unfair situation. What's a grievance? I shouldn't have to explain this to you people. A grievance is any cause for complaint or protest, especially unfair treatment. This governing body seeks to abridge and deprive citizens' rights to be heard. I am a life member of the VFW, which, as you might guess, causes me to have a conversation with a veteran or two here and there. And they're, none of them are happy when this discussion comes up about what you people are trying to do, and they are voters. So it might behoove you to change direction on this. It almost appears that this governing body, when they say certain outrageous things, are being directed, Mr. Rector, by the fiefdom of Wallach, Gandy, and Slaughter. There's some sort of a directive to maintain silence, particularly when one wants to speak about how screwed up Clearwater Police is and the lack of the city manager to do anything about it. It's out of her control because she's not in control. To protect and defend our rights as described in the U.S. Constitution is an oath that all of us should take, but every one of you has done that. And I've said this before, Mr. Rector, you've done it multiple times as the mayor, as an attorney, as a officer of the court. So I would urge all of you not to undermine our guaranteed rights by trying to pass these rules. These rules violate government and the sunshine laws. They even cause a chilling effect where citizens may request open records. I do want to take this last couple of seconds to, acknowledge Mr. Warren Samp's presence and thank him for coming.
Mr. Luba. Anyone else who desires to speak this morning?
Who's the dumbass now?
My name is Christine Scott on that note. How are you? I guess I'll be the dumbass.
There you go. I wasn't talking to you.
I know, but it just happened to be timing. Okay, so what we're talking about here is whether or not you have the right to block public participation in these meetings. Guess what? You don't. I don't care if you think you do. I don't care if you want to do it anyway. You don't have that right. You don't get to. You know what they do with these laws? They actually make them. Do you know why they make them? They make them so that we follow them. Do you include the we? Are you part of the we? Oh, yeah. Do you have to follow the law? Yes, you do. Do you have a choice? Well, if you don't feel like it, only on Tuesdays? No, you got to follow it every day, every single day. Who are you elected to represent? Oh, the people. But you don't want to hear from us. And I'm not talking to you, Mr. Cotton. Do you know why I'm not talking to him? Because previously when you voted on it, my understanding is that Mr. Cotton was the only person that said, I'm not voting for that because you actually have to give them the right to speak. You do. This is under the Florida Sunshine Act. And what that means is it's a law. You don't have a choice. Anything that you do in any meeting where the people have not had the opportunity to be heard, not on an agenda item, but on anything, that meeting, everything that took place in that meeting is void. Do you know how screwed you are at this point because of that? Do you know how many meetings you've had where you had not allowed public participation? Do you know why you have to have that? Because if something's going on in the city, you're the elected officials. We come here, we talk to you, we tell you, hey, there's a problem. And you know what you're saying? You are saying, with the exception of cotton, we don't want to hear it. We don't care what the people have to say. We don't care if we were elected, if that thing's happening in a real way. Questionable, isn't it? Okay, so what happens? Everything's null and void that you have done every single meeting where you have not allowed public participation, not on an agenda item. Not kidding. In other cities, it has been the case where where the city council members have been arrested in Florida, where they have all resigned because they have needed to. In this particular case, it would be with the exception of Cotton, because he didn't violate the law. When you choose not to follow the Sunshine Act, which is a Florida statute, that means it's a law. You are choosing to break the law. Do you have the right to break the law? No. What happens when you do? You become criminals. You can't do that. And that's not representing the people. And by the way, this half the room, they're not different from us. They're the same. You're not allowed to have that there.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
The champ is here.
Liberty Troll. Who's Liberty Troll?
Liberty Troll.
Mike Zimmerman? Pat Zimmerman? Ty? Geo Nathanson?
Years off.
Julia Lumps? Joya. Okay. And Jay? All right, 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Warren Sapp, future Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champion, for joining our cause today. Liberty Troll, shout out, subscribe to Liberty Troll. Never in history have the people trying to silence other people ever have been the good guys. Ever. Never in history. This is going to be your legacy, and I hope you're proud of yourselves. You guys keep claiming this is a business meeting. A business is a person or company who creates a product and other people voluntarily go buy it. They don't force it on them with guys with guns. You guys steal all the taxpayers' money and you do whatever you want to do with it. That's not a business. That's forced and coercion. That's not a business. Business is voluntary. You keep saying we're here for clicks and views. Do you guys campaign just for votes? Is that, you're just here for votes? Of course we want views. We're activists. Of course we want people to see our activism so they can see who you are next time they vote. It's called an informed voter. Next thing you're going to tell me the Tampa Bay Times is here to sell newspapers. What's wrong with these people? You also gaslight the hell out of us saying we're just here for clicks and views. You're not going to diminish my 30 years of activism for the First Amendment and Constitution by just blanket statement that we're all here for clicks and views. That's not what we're here for. That's one of the things that we want exposure to show the criminals of Clearwater what you're all about. The reason I started coming here is because the Clearwater PD falsely imprisoned Michael Taylor on the beach. He was trying to go fishing, and 7 or 8 tyrants from the Clearwater PD went and put their hands on him and falsely imprisoned him and disarmed him. You guys ever heard of the Second Amendment? It's illegal to disarm somebody when they're not doing anything illegal. That's what you have done. Then Jared Stiff over here, who sits under the Constitution, how ironic. You should put him in the corner where there's no Constitution. He came up here and said he gets under the thin skin of Brian Unks, the mayor, and he had him arrested. He put him in a cage like an animal for speaking. Warren Sapp was arrested for speaking not too long ago. You know what the cop said after he arrested him? I didn't realize you were Warren Sapp. How do you sleep at night, dude? You tell your child I put a man in a cage for speaking?
Continue your presentation. Thank you. Yeah.
The same mayor who put Baluba in a cage for speaking gave us all the double middle fingers on his way out. And you laughed, and you laughed, and you laughed. It was hilarious. It was hilarious when he did it. You also went into recess one day. This gentleman dared to speak, and you filed charges against him, and you keep saying it's not about the Constitution. Why would you file charges against someone for speech? Who? They put you in jail too? Oh, wow. Wow. We really take our oath seriously up here, don't we? You guys spend $25 million a year for a police force that doesn't know basic law, basic Bill of Rights. When Michael Taylor was kidnapped on the beach and falsely imprisoned, what happened with that? Was anybody in trouble, or did he just suffer? And his rights were violated. First, Second, 14th, 4th, Second Amendment.
Where's Beck Hasty?
The number 2 guy of the Clearwater Police Department union was dealing hundreds of pounds of fentanyl and drugs for months. But you're worried about our speech. You've had 10 meetings now. You dare to call us a circus when you took the free speech away from the beginning. You put the free speech at the end. When that didn't work, you suspended it for 3 months. When 3 months went by, you suspended it again. And now you're about to vote to get rid of the free speech altogether. The hell is wrong with you? You claim we intentionally delay meetings. Now you're trying to do some town hall where, of course, you can pick and choose who gets to speak. You're never going to call on us, and you try to get it separated. You went on the Dan Kelly show and said you believe in free speech, but here you are going to vote against free speech. You're a hypocrite, lying government parasite. Period, point blank. Shame on you. Shame on you. This is my time, sir.
Let the man present.
This is my
They're
time, sir.
interrupting you.
Calm down. I'm fine with them. It's you guys that need to be quiet. It's you that needs to be quiet and listen.
Are you going to continue on your presentation?
I'm going to continue, yes, as soon as you put your little hammer down. Calm down, fella.
Recess. We're going
Oh,
to
recess, huh? We can't handle free speech. that guy that just went by.
Okay. Call the meeting back to order, and you may continue with, we've got 4.5 minutes left, I think.
4:52.
4:52.
Clock's not ticking.
Well, I'm waiting
Just
for
wait
you
for
to
you to
start
start.
speaking so I can restart the
Oh, okay.
timer.
So for everybody there in internet land, in case you didn't notice, Bruce Rector just interrupted my free speech, my time at the podium, saying there was a disruption, and the only person that was disrupted was Bruce Rector himself. Nobody else was disruptive, and he went in the back, changed his diaper, forgot his pacifier, came back here, and started projecting his BS on everybody else as if they were the ones that disrupted the meeting, when it was in fact you. You're like an abusive husband. Let's get that on the internet. I know I already said it, but you're like an abusive husband that punches his wife in the face, gives her 2 black eyes, and blame it on her. You use gunmen to arrest people for speech. You filed charges against him for speaking. The former mayor had him in a cage like an animal. Do you think we're animals? Do you think you're better than us? Mrs. Texera says, everyone I go to lunch with has no problem with us getting rid of the free speech. Unless you go to lunch with the whole city of Clearwater and the rest of the country, you're full of shit. Take a vote. Let's see who wants free speech and who doesn't want free speech. You think you're going to vote to get rid of free speech and we're going to stop coming here? I can come here and speak 10 minutes on every single agenda item, if that's what you need. I am also going to offer an olive branch. I know you don't want me here. Put it back to the way it was. Give people their time to speak, the 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, and you'll never see me again. Unless, of course, you got some prick bastard over here that puts people in a cage for free speech. You should be fucking ashamed of yourselves. Again, I'd like to thank Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer Warren Sapp for joining us. And Mr. Menino said, it's a shame Mr. Sapp is acting that way. You're ashamed. You went on a radio show and claimed that you were for free speech, and you voted to get rid of it. This will be the 3rd time now. As you turn bright red like a beet. Did you help him change his diaper back there? Do I need to bring tissues to the meeting? You understand what a business is, right? That's voluntary. What you guys do is threat, duress, and coercion. If the money that you take from the citizens doesn't get paid, you guys send guys with guns to steal their property. You are all about force. You are definitely a model abusive person. You blame them for the actions you took. I think that's good. You guys think that's good?
Yes, Don.
You guys vote to get rid of free. You guys can vote to get rid of free speech tonight. You can all go fuck yourselves.
Anyone else here desiring to speak to agenda item 7.4?
Woo! Man, that was a lot. That's a lot to take in right there, I'll tell you what.
Guys, I'm Tony from 520, 522, and now 528 Cleveland Street. I'm a proud citizen of Clearwater. I know all you guys personally. My family's even with you guys. You guys all been nothing but kind to me. I view you guys as human beings, peers, and people that are trying to make this community better. That being said, I don't want city council or city council meetings to be a circus. I remember when I first came down here, I spoke out on things that I needed to be fixed here, and I was passionate about it. So
Would you let the man speak?
what I'm trying to say is that to avoid these issues, I think that, like all citizens, we should uphold the Constitution. We are a republic, and we have a responsibility to those constitutional rights. The First Amendment is part of the reason that I'm here, that I was able to get my businesses up and going, that you guys have heard my opinions and my concerns about it. There is some validity in what they're saying, but the way that they're going about it is something I disagree with. Hurling insults I don't think are productive at all. I think I'm here as trying to be an elegant man, expressing my point that I don't want these things to degrade to the point that it would be further harder for people like me to come out and speak. Help maintain free speech for all of us. Help maintain free speech for people who want to come here and be part of our community. But if we travel down this road that it seems like it's going to be more of this and less of me. And I don't think we need that as a community. I think we need people that are here ready to rebuild Clearwater. I'm ashamed that it's got to this point. I'm grateful for you guys, and I'm very proud to be a citizen of Clearwater and of this great country. Thank you guys for my time. Hope you guys understand my opinion.
Thank you. Anyone else here desire to speak to agenda item 7.4? I think we have one here. Yeah, two of you? Yeah, whoever. Yeah. Yeah, here's the clerk. Thank you. Yeah.
Good evening, or good evening. Mayor, commissioners, I don't live here, but I'm a stakeholder. I was moved to Clearwater in '75, now live in Seminole, but I still spend time here, visit your businesses and your lovely hospital when I have to. My problem is, I think that you guys have gotten some things wrong here. I think a lot of this has been taken on for some really bad decisions. I've had troubles in the past with the school board during the whole COVID and mask deal, and their police force kind of acted the same way your police force is. They're not supposed to be your personal security force, and it seems like they're being misused in that way. I think another problem is I saw you guys scheming on the 13th to try to get around this whole First Amendment thing, but you're also, I think, in violation of Section 4 and Section 5 of the Florida Constitution. You don't have that one up there, but if you need a copy, I can go ahead and text you or email you one. It's a little long, but you just get to the sections that pertains to this. I think you guys need to change course. I would so take this guy's deal because I'm only 20 minutes away. I might just come down here and comment on every single item. I'm a government employee myself, not as an elected class, but I would never treat, and listen, manner and tone, I have a manner and tone myself. I'm not going to use it here because I don't really think it needs to be in my situation now, because you guys aren't up in my kizzy in doing that, but I think you do need to put it back to 3 minutes. I know it sucks having to sit here, listen to people. I have to listen to people with insurance problems. They get nasty. They can't stand the insurance companies. They think the government's there to fix it. I get it. But I have to sit there and take it. And I don't mind. I don't mind letting people vent because that's what they need to do. And I think, I'm not sure what this thin skin thing is, but it seems kind of evident that you all kind of are with regard to comment. I know it's hyperbolic. I know it's, strumpeting for attention and all that. But that's part of the gig. That's why you guys go for votes. I mean, that's part of the deal. A lot of these people aren't going to vote for you. They might not even be citizens. But anybody seeing this, even from the outside, I first got interested when the last mayor quit. I said, what in the hell's going on here? You got some serious issues, and this isn't one of them. So I would concentrate on that and get back to square. And a lot of this madness goes away, including me. And I'm not as hyperbolic as the rest of these guys. So I would just go for take the deal. That's all I'm saying.
Anyone else? Next speaker. Yeah.
Good evening to everybody. My name is Greg Lorette. I am a Clearwater resident as of 2021. I moved here shortly after losing my father. He died shortly after there was a mass murder right about a block and a half away from me in New Orleans. And shortly after that same year, I ran for United States Congress representing the 2nd Congressional District in Louisiana. Shortly after coming to Clearwater, I became a notary public. And later on in 2023, I became a remote online notary. Governor DeSantis spoke recently about some laws affecting illegal immigrants and so forth that he hopes to get passed. And among those include the need for notarization. Notarization, it's a huge role, right? So it's messed up. The whole thing is messed up. I'm also an investigative journalist as well. I really get to the bottom of things, and I read the entire law, notary law, so many times over. And it's not just Florida, it's all over the United States. It's messed up, in person and online. I launched an investigation into remote online notary platforms, multiple of them, in an investigative capacity. As a result of my investigation, the Clearwater Police came to my door at about 3 or 4 in the morning. And I exercised all of my constitutional rights and demanded that they leave. They wanted to come inside. For ridiculous reasons, they were... Anyway, after that was over with, after they finally ran off because of my, I guess they perceived me as being a threat because I exercised all of my constitutional rights. At the same time, there was a Clearwater police officer that was currently investigating drug issues, a detective, at that same time, who has since been arrested for that. A detective took the time to report me to the governor of Florida for being a bad notary. Only problem was there was nothing in his report that had anything to do with me being a notary. It was only my role as an investigative reporter getting facts, trying to get to the bottom of corruption and on the bottom of people in China taking advantage of the United States. Clearwater Police Department stepped in and totally violated my rights, made me take my own money and time and stress to make a written report back to the governor's office where I stood on my constitutional rights, and they accepted my letter. I do stand today still as remote online notary, but no thank you to the Clearwater Police Department. And so these guys they don't know the story. They don't know my story. And you guys don't know me, but I've sat right here multiple times in these meetings prior to him coming in here. Shortly after I moved to Clearwater, I came to these meetings on a relatively regular basis. I have no intention to run for political office again. I will be on the back end of some of those campaigns, but none of these guys know this story. It's the first time they're hearing it. Thank you very much.
Just to remind everybody, we're speaking on this agenda item, and so I'm giving some latitude to maybe connect it somehow to this agenda item, but comments now are with regard to this agenda item.
Good evening, members of the Clearwater City Council. My name is Sean Berry. It is with justified outrage I stand before you to address your appalling and authoritarian attempts to silence the very people you claim to serve. Under the shameful leadership of Mayor Rector, this council has doubled down on its misguided resolution to muzzle dissent by resurrecting the repugnant, separate, but equal doctrine to shield your fragile egos from public criticism. Your efforts to redefine decorum as submission are a disgrace to the city and an affront to the Constitution. The First Amendment does not guarantee your right to comfort. It guarantees our right to confront and hold you accountable. Your discomfort is not a constitutional crisis, but your actions most certainly are. Public discourse is not a tea party. From Massachusetts v. Southborough to Counterman v. Colorado, the courts have made it clear. Pointed criticism is protected speech. A true threat must show intent to harm, not your discomfort at hearing harsh truths. In Houston v. Hill, the Supreme Court affirmed that government bodies cannot silence criticism simply because they find it inconvenient. The recent ruling in Moms for Liberty v. Brevard Public Schools underscores this principle. The 11th Circuit Court struck down vague and inconsistently enforced restrictions on speech at public meetings, declaring them unconstitutional. Policies barring abusive, personally directed, or obscene speech are found to chill public expression, undermine public discourse, and violate the First Amendment. Your actions in Clearwater mirror these unconstitutional behaviors where arbitrary enforcement silences dissent and protects only speech that flatters and appeases. This chamber, once a space for democracy, has become a fortress where dissent is punished. Your legitimacy comes from the trust of the people, trust you are now losing. When the citizens see their government turn its back on their grievances, they lose faith in the very system meant to serve them. Listening to the people is not a courtesy, it is your duty. The forgotten people, the citizens you ignore are speaking loudly. In a matter of days, President-elect Donald J. Trump will take office. His victory is a direct result of elected bodies like yours trampling on the rights of the people. He represents their demand for accountability and a refusal to be silent any longer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next speaker on agenda item 7.4. Anyone else here to speak to agenda item 7.4? One more.
I have not filled out a card yet, so eventually I'll have to do that. I have not been up here either since Slaughter was a rookie and Mayor Garvey was in that seat, so it's been a long time, forgive me. Mayor and Council, the First Amendment, Mr. Culver. Mayor and Council, the First Amendment of the United States Constitution guarantees free speech, a right that appears to be under the threat in our city. I believe that public meetings have become increasingly contentious, and my observations suggest that this council is not adequately addressing the concerns of the individuals involved. If the council were to adopt the principle of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, it could foster more of a peaceful and constructive environment. I am confident that the citizens will express their opinions freely and we can move forward without resorting to personal attacks. This rule has had significant impact on me, particularly regarding a matter I wished to raise up to council in May of last year, but unfortunately I could not because of the rule that was been implemented. In previous meetings, particularly the one that happened last month, comments about Mr. Haluba that were uncalled for, deemed inappropriate, and if the council expects those citizens to adhere by this standard, it must also hold itself accountable to the same high level of conduct. Leadership by example is crucial in this situation. The council's comments that seem to be deliberately provoking further reactions only exaggerate the problem. We live in a society where individuals may express their opinions more freely than others, and this is perfectly acceptable. However, it is important to ensure that these expressions are conducted in a respectful and constructive manner. Mayor Rector, I'm a little concerned about the phone call that you made to Mr. Taylor about my involvement in this matter. Obviously, I've emailed you. I requested a call back, which you did not do. I'm a little taken back by that. Don't know why. My phone number hasn't changed. I'm there to answer my phone all the time. But by going to Mr. Taylor and going around me, that's disrespectful, and you're merely just poking the bear still. Again, this was based upon those comments that were made last month. They were undoubtedly heard by the entire public, including myself in real time. And obviously, these individuals should be accountable for their actions, whoever they may be. Those particular comments, in my opinion, were inappropriate, and obviously, I feel that Mr. Haluba should be, someone should give Mr. Haluba an apology. I do urge the council to reconsider its decision to exclude the citizens from public meetings that are not directly related to the agenda, and by doing so, we can foster a more inclusive and collaborative environment that promotes peaceful dialogue and cooperation. So basically, long story short, from what I can gather is if you guys continue to poke the bear's going to poke back. And I think at this point, you know, it seems like you're feeding into, like some people have used the word gaslighting, but it seems like everybody just keeps feeding back into it. So you're going to provoke it when you just, in your example, in my example, you should have just came to the source. You just poked the bear, basically. So for me to step up here 25 years later, and I haven't been up here in 25 years, I'm here. Thank you for your time.
Before you leave,
Yes.
I did respond 2 or 3 times to you, didn't I?
No, sir. You responded. I'm sorry. Yes, you responded.
Yes, I responded.
You responded twice.
I didn't ignore you. I responded to you. And Mr. Taylor called me for the last time we spoke. I didn't call him, so I didn't go around you. And I did respond to you. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that.
What was the point of going to Mr. Taylor, sir?
I don't think you and I talked. He called me.
What was the point of asking Mr. Taylor the question to begin with, though, when I was the source to begin with? You should have just called me or emailed me.
He called me and he left a message.
You're not answering the question. Answer the question.
Okay.
What is the point of going to Mr. Taylor and asking Mr. Taylor about me?
I didn't go to him.
Mr. Rector, you're not listening.
He came to me.
Okay, fine. What was the point of asking Mr. Rector about my involvement when you had my phone number?
I didn't ask him about you.
Okay. You're denying that?
Yeah.
Okay.
He asked me about the same issue you did.
So you're denying that?
Yeah, well, look, we're not.
You just said yes, or now you're saying, well, which one is it?
We're not trying to get a conversation. Yes, I'm denying it.
Okay.
Yeah, he called
All right.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
He asked me about the same issue that you wrote to me about.
Okay.
But I was just trying to correct, I responded to you at least twice. I think we had emails back and forth.
But you never called me, and you said your phone was open all the time.
Okay, well, thank you.
Come to the
Thank you.
source.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Director.
Okay. Anyone else desire to speak to agenda item 10?
Hi, I'm Blaine Enderle. I'm Mr. Slaughter. We're here. Mr. Cotton, Mr. Here. Mr. Rector, I've talked to you a lot. I think you're doing a great job. Mr. R. Barton, God bless you. Meningo, I'm on your side 99% of the time. Lawyer, I don't know who you are, bro. You are so lucky. Ask these people. Mrs. Call, I love you. You deserve a raise. Okay, let's talk about what's going on, what's not on the agenda. You all know the decision's been made. He gave you a 3-minute, he gave you saying, hey, take it back to what it was. I wish you'd do it, but we all know you're not. But like the gentleman before me said, you poked the bear. What's coming at you is this, over and over and over. I don't want to see that. I don't like coming down here. Nobody likes to hear me, and nobody wants to hear them. We want these meetings to go like clockwork. Mr. Slaughter.
Mr. Early, just present to us, to the council. Thank you again.
You got a hard job. Just buck up and let them talk. Nobody likes it. I don't like it. I don't like the vulgarity. Tony don't like the vulgarity. But let them talk. I think you're all great leaders in your own way. And you're doing it all individually, and I'm approving every one of you. Well, Mrs. Briere, me and you are not on the same page yet, but we're gonna try. So please, take their offer. Let it go back the way it was. Let it go in one ear and out the other. Otherwise, you got this coming at you, and it's coming big. God bless you.
Okay, anyone else here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 7.4 that haven't already spoken? Seeing none, we'll have council discussion at this point.
Downtown Depot.
Please, we're almost through this finally. Everybody's already had a long night, so thank you, Mr. Taylor, for keeping your comments to yourself. Any council discussion? Could we please, could you please allow us to discuss? Thank you. Okay. Councilmember Cotton?
Yeah, I definitely have something to say. You know, obviously, I think that we see where I've been in these votes coming up to it, and now we have, you know, a draft of continuing forward. I still am for allowing the public their 3 minutes of time, up to 10 minutes, to be able to talk to us and let us know what they have to say. With that being said, I mean, we already have it drafted and ready to go. A part of me is saying, why don't we accept what they're saying and see if they hold to it? And if not, then you have your item that you've already drafted to bring to at a later date. Another thing that I wish I would have had maybe by Monday is maybe even thinking about allowing public comment back, but to allow the efficiency of this meeting to cap it at a time limit. So each person gets their 3 minutes up to maybe 30 minutes for that section, and then we move on. If there's nobody that wants to address us or have any grievances, we're able to just pass through. I don't know if Mr. Kohler can speak to that, if that's something that we could look at, if it's another way forward, because, Mr. Mayor, I do appreciate your hearing me on wanting to be able to hear our stakeholders and our public for their comments, the business owners. But I do still believe that it is a very big and integral part of why we're here. Yes, we are all available. I will agree to that. We have email, phone numbers, cell phone numbers. As has been discussed tonight, I've talked to Mr. Taylor a few times as well. I just think that it's really important that we be able to not limit our residents. You know, I mean, I attest our meetings have been going very efficiently in this pause that we have had. But a part of me wants to just take them at their word and see how it goes. And why not? What do we have to lose? We already have a draft on something that's potentially there to continue the meetings being efficient, but maybe they'll stand up to their word and just allow our citizens, stakeholders, and businesses to take part of that. So that's where I'm at. I'm still going to be for allowing public comment and going forward. So
Within the meeting. I mean.
within the meeting, yeah,
Just
if we
so
could.
everybody,
Hey, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Peace out. I hope you go that way. This is the olive branch again, I'm out.
thank you, thank you.
Peace.
Just, thank you.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Hey, I'll be at Downtown Pizza. If you want to come join, pizza's on me. Wine, beer.
Thank you for visiting Clearwater.
I'll see you later. Peace out.
Just so we know, I mean, we're not taking away public comment. We're giving residents who want to speak to an item not on the agenda a separate opportunity to do that. And frankly, the opportunity, we think, with the way we're talking about doing it, I don't think we settled on a date and location yet, did we?
Yes, sir. We have a date confirmed for Tuesday, February 25th at the East Library from 5:30 to 7:30.
At the East Library. Yeah.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That's at the college, right?
Yeah, it's at SBC. So, you know, we all hear from people throughout Clearwater, and I was at a meeting this morning in Tampa and talking to somebody who wasn't from Clearwater, and they're like, I told them that Clearwater goes all the way north, east to Curlew Road. And they're like, wow, I thought that was Safety Harbor up there. No, we go way, way northeast, and for those folks who live way up in North Countryside, to have to come down here on a Thursday night to speak to an item not on the agenda, I think by moving this to the East Library right there on US 19, instead of on the far western edge of Clearwater, we put it more in the center of Clearwater. It's a better opportunity for us to hear from our citizens throughout the entire city. Clearwater's a big city. I mean, we've got 118,000 people census population. If you count all the people who own property here and who have a Clearwater address, even though they may be in unincorporated Clearwater, we're probably at 300,000 people. And to hold all of our meetings, the only opportunity for them to give comments to us direct on downtown Clearwater, right next to the water, on the far eastern, western side of the city, I think is just, it's not the way we think we want everyone in Clearwater to feel part of the city. So it'll be the same opportunity. I think the city attorney, and he meant this, we were all just thinking out loud on Monday, but he used the term town hall. That we're not intending to have a town hall where we choose a speaker tonight, said, oh, we're going to choose who speaks. No, it's the same format that we have for these meetings now, to where we welcome the public to come in and speak for 3 minutes and share with us whatever issue, whatever topic they want to share with us. And we'll all be there and all be recorded. But by moving the location to the other side of Clearwater, and also by separating from this meeting to where they don't have to sit through all the agenda items. They have to sit through all the proclamations They just come and they share whatever they want to share once a month, or, once every other month, but frequently. To me, that's a better opportunity for them. And it's right-sizing the opportunity for the day and age we live in. We all know, and there was a speaker, 2 speakers ago, talked about communicated to us in writing. I responded back. I tried my best. I'm sure I missed 1 or 2, but I try my best to respond back at least once to everyone who writes me or calls, and I know the others here do similar. But we're not trying to eliminate freedom of speech, take away, and one of the other comments said tonight was, well, you all just don't like to have criticism. Believe me, you don't have to sit in these seats very long before you better get used to being yelled at, called names. There was somebody after our last council meeting called me from Texas. Most folks, Mr. Taylor and I, we've had fine conversations away from the camera about this issue, other issues. This gentleman, he screamed at me from somewhere in Texas called me all kinds of names, and I took it. I mean, I don't think he's ever visited Clearwater actually himself, but that's part of the gig. We all know that. We get criticized, particularly of us who run pretty tough campaigns. That's not what this is about. It's about providing a good opportunity for our citizens to come and engage with us in an environment where they don't have all the other stuff we go through a regular meeting, move the location to where we access more of Clearwater, but they'll have the same opportunity that they had before when we had this opportunity on our business agenda. It will just be a better opportunity for them to come and speak their mind and raise issues that aren't on the agenda, I think. And something the way these things have been, many have said getting out of hand, it's costing our taxpayers money. I mean, all the staff resources we have to put in setting up and addressing it, it's costing our taxpayers money. This is a more efficient way for us that will eventually save the taxpayers more money. So I was big on having another opportunity for folks to address us as a group on whatever topic they want. We all get communications from citizens, whether it be, it's code enforcement or different issues from time to time. I see the value of still having an opportunity for citizens to come in and speak to all of us. This will be a better opportunity, I think, for us. The 5 of us, we won't have a lot of staff at these other meetings, but it's an extra meeting. It's going to be more work for us. But I think it's the best way for us to allow folks anybody can come. We're not limiting anybody. You can drive from Colorado, wherever you want to come to speak at that meeting. But it's a better opportunity for us to let people present those thoughts, so that if there is a highly contentious meeting issue on the regular agenda, that folks, whether it's a neighborhood issue, planning and zoning, a better environment for them to come in and address business items, because they don't have to deal with what we've been dealing with. What we had some tonight, they don't sit through that. So for me, this other meeting we've already scheduled is a better opportunity.
I will agree wholeheartedly that the way that we're not limiting members of the public to speak to agenda items, we just went through it, right, with everything that was presented here. So I would agree that the way that I understand the Florida statutes, the Florida Constitution, and even the Constitution, I don't think that we're in violation of that. Again, it just comes back to, and I greatly appreciate the new meeting and format that we're setting up. Born and raised here in Clearwater, grew up in Countryside, that furthest point that you are making, right on Meadow Hill Drive North, across from Eagles Estates, right? So I completely understand and know the sentiment of what you're talking about for those folks to try and come down here, especially during the time frame in which we start. Again, I just genuinely feel like it's, even if we were to eliminate or put a time frame on, the 30 minutes in the beginning of the meeting, if somebody wants to address us, I still don't have an issue with that, or doing the other meeting, right? I think that you said it best. We signed up for this. We get yelled at and the emails that we received, we knew what we were getting into. I don't think that anybody didn't know that. So I do agree with you in the way that we're still hearing the public for the agenda items. I just don't see a problem in allowing Tony to show up from downtown to tell us about something that might be going on Cleveland Street for 3 to 10 minutes, and maybe trying to see, if, I don't remember the one gentleman's name who spoke to us tonight, I think it's Felix and Mr. Taylor, take them up on their offer and see if they stop, and to give it back to the people, give it back to our residents, our businesses, and our stakeholders. I don't see the fault in maybe trying both. And like I said, we already have the new rules drafted. It's something, if we see there's another issue, I mean, you could readdress it at that point, but see if they are men of their words and let us to do Clearwater business for Clearwater residents and Clearwater businesses.
Well, Tony and all these folks can come to the meeting we have in the countryside to speak about the issue. And all these folks, or a couple of the speakers said they're gonna come back to every meeting. You have the opportunity tonight to speak on any agenda item you want to speak on. We're not limiting anybody's ability, we're taking public comment on every agenda item. It's just this opportunity and frankly for Tony, he could probably come to the meeting where we have out there on the east side of Clearwater, probably get in and out and back to his family or back to his business faster coming out there to speak than he would be by coming here, going through all the things we do in the beginning and getting finally to his part of the meeting. So this isn't about limiting anybody's ability to speak or us not wanting public input. We get public input every day, believe me. And we want to engage the public. We just want to engage, we want to make it the best opportunity for folks to be able to do that. And I think that this is worth a try, this separate meeting, see how it goes, maybe it doesn't go. To your point, there are some communities and some local governments in Florida that you have to reserve your time ahead of the meeting on the agenda. If you don't call and book your time to speak, you don't get on their agenda. So, and there are other communities where there's a sign-up list in the back, and you got to sign up to speak on an item not on the agenda before the meeting starts. The problem with that is it puts more on our staff to kind of organize all that. For me, it's easier just to have a separate meeting where they can come and they can speak, get your 3 minutes and you come from, you just happen to have time that day or something makes you mad on your way out to our meeting at the library, then you just go and show up. But the other thing, one of the speakers here talked about President Trump getting sworn in on Monday. And somehow that we're all up here against President Trump. I will be there on the Capitol steps on Monday at 11 a.m. when President Trump is sworn in. I mean, this is not about free speech. This is not about First Amendment. We all support First Amendment. We support the Second Amendment. This is about providing our citizens. I see 2 residents out there right now, 3 right now, out of our roughly 300,000 people who consider themselves Clearwater. This is about providing them an opportunity to come in and speak, the best opportunity we can to speak to an item not on the agenda of a regular city council meeting. And so I think at this point, this alternative is the best alternative to try. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. Maybe we'll try something like this. But I think it's worth a try, just seeing how it goes. And could provide a better opportunity because it now engages the east side of Clearwater and allows people who ordinarily might not be able to make it down here an opportunity to come and present to us. All right. Any other? Councilmember Nino?
Do either of these, Councilwoman, do you want
Sure.
to? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we've all beat this subject and topic up for over 8 months and gave stances of our beliefs and thoughts on it. I respect the councilman's posture. I respect your commitment to it. You have been steadfast on it. I respect that. I also respect what you're saying in a sense of I have heard overwhelmingly for the past 6 years that there's a lot of people in our community that cannot get down here to City Hall to regress us, address us, share with us, and communicate with us. And they have begged us to find ways to get out into our community, to engage with them at that level, and create more of a participatory government. And I firmly believe that this direction allows that. Again, I've heard overwhelmingly from our citizens that are appreciative and looking forward to that first date that's set. And I support that as well. So if we can just move on from this, I think we probably need a resolution reading, then a motion, then a second resolution reading, and then we can move forward without cutting anyone else off from their thoughts.
Anyone else? Vice Mayor? Okay, just that.
Sounds like to move forward. Okay. So there's two resolutions. I think we should recommend a vote for each resolution. So I'm going to read the first one, resolution number 2502, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending council rules providing an effective date.
Move to adopt resolution 2502.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. It'd be 4-1 with Councilmember Cotton voting against.
So second resolution is resolution number 2503, a resolution of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending council rules providing an effective date.
Move to adopt resolution 25-03.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, 4-1 with Councilmember Cotton voting against. Thank you. Okay. That moved to item 8.1 on the agenda.
Is the flag at half-mast because free speech died here?
Well, thank you.
Bang, 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 bang. We'll be at every town hall meeting. Don't fucking retards. Every one. Every single one. And you won't get little gang members to throw us out then. I'm not a everyone.
Okay.
So 8.1, it's a second reading. Ordinance number 9802-25. An ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, annexing certain real property located on the east side of St. Anthony Drive, approximately 340 feet south of St. Croix Drive, whose post office address is 1755 St. Anthony Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, into the corporate limits of the city, and redefining the boundary lines of the city to include said addition, providing an effective date.
Okay, is there anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 8.1? Hearing none, any council discussion? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve agenda item 8.1.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Agenda item 8.2.
So 8.2, it's a second reading of ordinance number 9803-25, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the city to designate the land use for certain real property located on the east side of St. Anthony Drive, approximately 340 feet south of St. Croix Drive, whose post office address is 1755 St. Anthony Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as residential urban RU, providing an effective date.
Is anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 8.2? Hearing saying none, is there any council discussion? If there's none, is there a motion?
Motion to approve agenda item 8.2.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you. Agenda item 8.2. Skip 3.
8.3, it's a second reading of an ordinance number 9804-25, an ordinance of the City of Clearwater, Florida, amending the zoning atlas of the city by zoning certain real property located on the east side of St. Anthony Drive, approximately 340 feet south of St. Croix Drive, whose post office address is 1755 St. Anthony Drive, Clearwater, Florida, 33759, upon annexation into the City of Clearwater as low-medium density residential, LMDR, providing an effective date.
Is anyone here from the public desire to speak to agenda item 8.3? Hearing and seeing none, is there any council discussion? If there's none, is there a motion?
Move to approve agenda item 8.3.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Move to agenda item 9, city manager reports.
Nothing, sir.
Okay. Item 10, Mr. Kohler, do you have any reports for
No,
us?
no, sir.
Thank you. Item 11, closing comments by council members. Councilmember Cotton?
Yeah, we're in the new year, so I hope everybody had a good new year. I hope everybody that's out watching at home had a good year, and hopefully 2025 will be great and prosperous for all of us. We do have the incoming president coming in on Monday, which I think that we'll have really good times ahead with that. So I hope everybody enjoys the 20th and has a great 2025.
Councilmember Teixeira?
Thank you. Again, reminder that January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. If you see or suspect anything, please call the National Human Trafficking Hotline, 1-888-373-7888, or text Be Free or Help to 233-733. Last but not least, I want to be very clear. I know that there's been some talk about comments made, what the hot mic picked up at the last meeting. It was I who made that comment. It was a knee-jerk reaction, and I ended up muttering under my breath my frustration. It was a reaction to witnessing a citizen who I deeply respect, an older gentleman, being ridiculed. And that was my reaction. It was I who made that comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Menino?
No, sir.
Vice Mayor?
I think enough said tonight.
Oh, yeah, all right. Well, we've had a long meeting, and it's all, Clearwater's off to a great start for the year, just as far as the number of things going. And I said this Monday, just the way we have come out of the hurricanes, 2 major hurricanes in 2 weeks. We had, Visit St. Pete Clearwater had their annual marketing meeting today, and just the way not just our tourism community, but the way all of our communities have recovered. I was in Tampa this morning and for a meeting, and Mayor Castor commented just how everyone in the whole region has pulled together to get us through major destruction. And just 100 days, we're back on our feet and we're pushing forward many of the things we talked about tonight. So we're building momentum, and a lot of great things to come in Clearwater and throughout Tampa Bay this year. And our team and our employees are looking forward to having a great year. So I'm going to have difficult meetings, and this tonight was a long one, and certainly one of them. But I appreciate all of this working together as a team and as a community. The way our city continues to work together to help one another and to make Clearwater better than ever is appreciated. So with that, we will adjourn the January 16, 2025 meeting of the Clearwater City Council.